Hey everyone, Griffin here. Today I wanted to talk about the game between C9 and TL, specifically the second game in their playoffs series. I've heard a lot about, or a lot of discussion about this particular game on Twitter and Reddit. Usually I don't really entertain these kinds of things, but I think it would make for a pretty good video as I will be explaining something that is a pretty cool concept to me at least. I want to talk about this game specifically because of the whole interaction between Twitter and kind of Fudge freezing against Alfari, or not really freezing against Alfari, but just freezing in general. I do mostly want to kind of talk about how to freeze and what you should be looking for in a freeze. And I want to answer the question, is Fudge freezing here good or not? Is freezing even an option? Should Fudge have done something else? I'm going to go into detail about that. Not too long, but, enough to kind of get the point across. So, with all that being said, I kind of want to talk about the kind of concept of freezing and what it is. So freezing, as you should know, is the concept of having more minions than your own to the point where the lane freezes in a particular, or not the lane, but the wave freezes in a particular place in the lane so that you can both deny the CS, your own minions to the enemy, so the enemy can't get CS because the enemy minions kill your minions, and so that you can freely farm because you just last hit every minion because you're there, right? So now I want to talk about what brings you to this state. And I think, in my personal theory of it, there are the three main questions you should ask when it comes to freezing. First one, what is the context? So why is the freeze happening? What happened before the freeze that led to the point where you want to freeze? And why should you even freeze in this position, right? So that's the first point, just why are you freezing? What happened? What led you to the point or to the decision that, hey, I should freeze here? Secondly, it's the state of the map. So the second question is, looking at the state of the map or looking at the map in general or the game in general, what is going on? So at the time you would freeze, is there anything to do in the map? Do you have TP for a fight? Is a fight brewing? Because, for example, if Dragon is spawning and your team is looking to contest it, you probably don't want to freeze. You probably want to be with your team, right? But if you're not looking to contest it, you should freeze. Is your team posturing for a fight or not? Now, this is a harder, I think, question to answer in solo queue than it is in competitive play. However, I think it's more complex in competitive play because, there are more questions and more things you should be asking when it comes to fighting and fight positioning than just looking at the posture of your team's champions, right? And the third, final but not last but not least, rather, question is resource management. You're basically weighing the resources gained against the resources lost in each case of freezing. So, for example, what are you giving and what are you losing for freezing? So, of course, you could not be losing anything. You could just be gaining. Or you could be losing everything and not really gain much at all. For example, you're a champion, doesn't matter which one. You're Giga fed against the opponent, right? The opponent is Giga down bad, down horrendously, whatever you want to say. And you're going to freeze to just push him out of lane. He can't lane, he can't farm anymore, he can't try to catch up. You're just going to freeze in front of his face, and if he ever tries to break the freeze, you're just going to kill him. And you're just going to continuously do this, and you're going to do this so much and for so long to the point that every single champion on the enemy team will be so far below you in the sense of items, gold, XP, doesn't matter. You're going to be over the moon, and there's not much you're going to lose in that case unless your team is giga inting and you kind of need to help them, but you're not because you're freezing, right? In that case, that is also a good example of weighing the pros and cons. Yes, you're doing amazing in lane and you can exert your pressure and, just do so much more because you're going to be farming, you're going to have more gold, you're going to have more XP, but your team is kind of inting, and if you were to TP to bot lane, you could probably get 2 kills, but you're going to lose the freeze. They're going to crash the wave into the turret. They might get a plate or two because you're not going to have TP, so you're going to have to back. So you're kind of weighing the pros and cons, the resources gained versus the resources lost, right? And then finally, after the 3 questions, you come to the conclusion. Is freezing an option? Now, freezing is not really always going to be black and white. It's not always going to be, oh yes, it's good here, or oh no, it's bad here, It's usually going to be like somewhere in between, the gray area, right? You're going to be, oh, it's leaning on the better side, or it's leaning towards the worst side. You could be doing more, right? So, for example, like I said here, you're getting more CS, you're getting more XP, you're constantly killing the enemy laner, and that's good, but you're losing a lot bot lane because you're not TPing, you don't want to waste your TP, you don't want to roam mid lane, you don't want to help your jungle out in invades or something like that, whatever the fuck. So it's like, it's in that gray area. It's not the best thing ever, but it's not the worst thing ever as well, because you are still gaining resources, and a lot of them, speaking of. So those are kind of the things you should ask to look for the conclusion. And usually if it's weighing on the bad side, you should probably not do it. If it's weighing on the good side, you should probably do it, depending on how the enemy plays. Now, in silver and gold, you should probably always freeze, or never freeze, depending on what your play style is. But, yeah, that's basically what I want to talk about. And in this case, we're going to be asking those questions. So, what is the context of making this play? What is happening, right? So what happened that leads to this whole situation in the first place? So we see, as the mid lane matchup goes, Syndra is shitting on Viego, as she should, right? That's the point. And really, there's really no counterplay. No counterplay from Viego here. You just shouldn't pick Viego in this position. You should probably just put him in jungle and pick something else. Doesn't matter though. Perks is losing, whatever. I'm playing this at faster speed so that we can get through the play faster, because this is a pretty long play. So, TL decide that, they're going to invade and try and dive top lane. It's a great decision. Honestly, it's pretty clean. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. I don't disagree with this decision at all. I think it's a fine decision. So, once they start the dive, Blabber's already there because he's just got done cleaning bot side. He started bot side, went into red side. TL knows this, that's why they went for it, because they know they can defeat them because they're stronger right now. And Fudge is pretty much useless. The minions are under turret. He can't really farm. He wants to farm this because he's already 8 CS behind GP, and he would really love to get this wave off of the turret, but he can't because he has to constantly dance around abilities. In this position, Perks immediately starts channeling it, immediately, quote unquote. Pretty soon after this, he starts channeling his TP. And now Fudge takes a huge hit from Alphari's Q, as you do, because GP is just, a very balanced champion, a point and click, ability that does 500 fucking damage. Doesn't matter. Regardless, Viego ends up TPing here. That's it. I think, in my opinion, this should be the play. This is it. There's no reason to go for this. You're never going to kill them. Jensen is full HP, half mana. Alphari is more than half HP, almost half mana. And the only one that's less than half HP is Lee Sin, who is Lee Sin. So you're not going to do much. This is it. Just back off and go back to lane. They're going to back off. You're going to back off. Fudge is going to be, shit on. But, it is what it is. You can't really do much about it. So Fudge is just trying to do this because he can't really walk up. Because if he walks up, he's just dead to Alphari. Alphari also has passive. So if he flashes and auto-attacks Fudge, it's just over because of the passive, right? Burn. And especially even if it weren't over, he'd just Q or something. It doesn't matter. Like, Fudge is just dead. He can't even flash away from it. Regardless, we still see this. Now, TL is like, hey, these guys just inted. What the fuck? Kill Blabber. Blabber can't do much about this. He shouldn't have gone in the first place, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Blabber gets killed. Shit happens, right? And basically now Perks can't really do anything, and he just kind of wants to get out. But do keep in mind that Fudge is constantly sharing XP with 2 people. Now, so is technically Alphari, but they are getting a kill, right? That's a kill here. And here comes Core GJ. In my opinion, Fudge should never be able to auto-attack this minion. Core GJ should immediately flash E and he's dead, right? There's no way. Unless Fudge is just an insanely good reactionary, or reactor rather, not a reactionary, what the fuck. Unless Fudge is an insanely good, has insanely good reaction speed, you're always killing him here. However, I understand not going for it, but even if Fudge has insanely good reaction speed, you still burn his flash for free. Whatever. So, this is the context, right? Fudge just lost a shit ton. He has to burn his TP. This game is borderline over from this single play because Viego is now completely fucked. He's completely out of the game. He can't do jack shit, right? There's nothing that Viego can really do now. I almost called her Sandra. What the fuck? Syndra just one lane. Perkz has no TP. Syndra does. And then display here happens, which is pretty good for Cloud9. The display here happened because even if they do trade 1-for-1, which they do end up doing, they burn 2 TPs. And burning 2 TPs is pretty good because you just burn 2 TPs, so not having them here is nice. Also, Swen gets to live here, so that's fine. Even if it was a 2-for-1, you would probably still take it because it's, you know, overall, they lose a lot more. As they lose a flash on Jhin, they lose a heal on Jhin, they lose TP on Syndra, they lose TP on GP, right? TP on GP, lol. Regardless, TL does actually a very smart thing here. What the fuck? Alphari stays bot lane to pick up this wave and crash it into the turret while Jhin is going top lane. No reason for Alphari to back here and go top because he really doesn't need to. He doesn't have TP, he's going to miss this entire wave. Jhin is going to miss this entire wave, so it's better for Jhin to just go top lane, take the wave, and that's it, right? So the context of this is this, right? This is what the context is. We're freezing because we're giga behind GP, right? We have, I don't know why GP bought Doran's Blade. I don't think that's the play here, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's just to be stronger, I guess. I don't know. I just don't agree with buying Doran's Blade so, you know, late. As not a starter item, if you get what I mean. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. He does pick it up. Perkz just can't do anything. He's trying to CS. He really can't do anything here. Regardless, we're not going to watch this replay. I don't care to watch the replay. So Jhin crashes this into the turret so that Fudge can't freeze. Pretty good, just standard stuff. I think Jensen could have pulled this into a freeze, which would have been really good, but it really doesn't need to happen. And also Cloud or Ocean is up, and I think they want to get it pretty soon, so Jensen probably wants to have priority. He can also pull this into a freeze, but as you can see, he probably wants to have priority once this is over because Viego can't really do anything in this particular case. Everybody is there, so, you know, it's fine. So, now that we've talked about the context, it's basically we lost the game at 5 minutes, GG go next, right? That's basically what happened here. Not quite, you know, you didn't really lose the game yet. Now that we've seen the context behind why we want to freeze in the first place, let's see the context of how did we get to the point where we can even freeze, right? So I'm just going to fast forward a bit here because I don't know what the actual timestamp is. Somewhere around here where they release the Herald. Yep. So Herald gets released, turret is destroyed. Once this turret is destroyed, you can see the minion wave here is coming in. This is the minion wave here, so Fudge already knows that this can be freezable, right? The Herald and pushing out this is really good for Fudge. Even though they take the turret, that's a lot of gold, especially on GP. Fudge can freeze this, right? He knows this. So he's really just trying to do that. Vulcan and Blabber, what the fuck am I doing, man? Vulcan and Blabber are here to support him, you know, in not dying, I guess. But this is, again, he's still sharing EXP with Vulcan if he takes any of these minions, which he doesn't, thankfully. I don't think. I think Vulcan should have just immediately backed. He shouldn't have stayed. Let me just see if he does share. Oh my god, he shares XP because Vulcan keeps resetting his back. It kind of sucks, but kind of sus. You know, this is where the freeze happens. So, as we're freezing the wave here, what is the state of the map? First of all, we're probably thinking that GP is backing. Okay, we don't see GP We just saw him back off. We're thinking he's either backing or he's going mid lane. There's no in between, right? Thing is, are there any objectives in the map? Let's look at that first. No. Dragon was just killed, so we can freeze because there's no dragon, right? Can we follow GP if he goes mid lane? We can, of course, technically. We're not dead. We have, movement speed, so we can go, technically. Does it give us anything? I don't think so. You see, I don't think that Fudge, first of all, there's a level discrepancy on everybody, basically. It's Alfari on Fudge is 1 level, Jensen on Perks is 1 level. However, Leona doesn't have ulti and Vulcan does, but doesn't matter much, honestly. So, Fudge really can't come here. Even if he does, they're both going to be standing here. They're not really going to do anything. And you might be thinking, well, Blabber is coming from base, and so will Vulcan once he backs. Technically true, yes. But does that even matter? Leona is going mid lane. Lee Sin is going to hover on wolves. If Lee Sin is hovering on wolves, that means that the exact moment they see Jace walking down, Lee Sin is going to come here. And it turns into a 4v4. Which C9 are not equipped to deal with. Because, guess what? GP has plated steel caps and Fudge and Perks deal no damage to him. Okay? So, that is the state of the map, right? There's nothing happening here. Nothing can happen here. This is the only way this goes. What TL is doing is very good, don't get me wrong. But this is all a byproduct of that one mistake that Perks and Blabber made on top lane. And the fact that, Jace can't play against GP. But that's a topic for another day. Anyway, if Jace comes down and doesn't freeze this, he can't do anything. Unironically, he can't do anything about this, okay? Just keep that in mind. So, because this is the first freeze we always talk about, we're going to also look at resource management. What do we gain versus what do we lose? Well, we don't really lose much that we wouldn't lose anyway, right? So we're losing these plates, we're losing this pressure, we're losing these minions, right? But we're gaining, we're trying to gain some gold, we're trying to gain some XP because we're trying to be on par with GP, right? Which is really hard to do, and at least be on par with like Syndra or Jhin or something, right? So that we're not totally out of the game yet. But realistically, they're not really, like this freeze right now that's happening, it's not losing anything. Because if you weren't freezing here, you would be losing this anyway, which makes this a net positive play technically, because if you weren't doing it, you wouldn't gain anything from like roaming down, from TPing. There are no wards to TP on, so you can't even TP. You can see Lee Sin is already going through mid, so if Jace were to come down, Lee Sin is there, right? That's the whole point of Lee Sin being here, is because if Jace ever wants to come down, Lee Sin is just going to come first, right? It's just how it goes. Slightly magical footwear, broski. But Vulcan has mobility boot. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Let's not talk about it. I don't like Moby boots in Alistar anyway. I just don't like Moby boots in general unless you're playing solo queue. It's kind of cringe. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So, we lose this. This is the only way this can go. Period. Then, here is an interesting play. So, we're still freezing. So, now that we've gotten through resource management, we got to the conclusion that really freezing here is the only option, right? So, now let's look at freezing here still. The context is still the same, so we don't have to answer that question because this is still the same freeze. But what is the state of the map now? Still pretty much the same. GP is mid lane, not much Jace can do about that. TL is invading. Can we fight this? Yes. Should we fight this? DP's up on both Jensen and Alfari. Not very many wards you can TP to that are safe. Because if you TP here and right next to Leona, you're pretty much screwed, okay? So, we should just try to get this Gromp if possible and then back off, okay? And then we're going to fight for blue. And then that might be a more advantageous position. However, Bergs decides that the best play to do here is to TP bot lane, whilst Vulcan is going on to Leona. There's no need to go into Leona once Blabber gets to Gromp. No need to do this. And even if he does, just run away. Run away. Lost my mind. Basically Vulcan right now, okay? This is what Vulcan should be thinking, right? He should be thinking that song because he lost his mind and he needs to run away, okay? So Syndra ends up TPing. Why should Jace not TP here? First of all, he doesn't really have a good place to TP to. Viego's TP is abysmal, by the way, because there's nothing he can do here because Jhin is, you know, at river. He can just walk up the river. It's fine. There's nobody waiting for him there. Jace can be mid lane here, but even if he was, there is not going to be any prio mid lane from Jace, so this would still be the same, okay? It's only that Jace could walk through here. But if Jace was mid lane, they could contest blue buff possibly, right? That's the only difference. But the thing is, they're not even going to contest blue buff because they're going for Gromp that they got already. I don't understand this. This was abysmal. Jace freezing here. Still, resource management, okay? Let's look at resource management. What are we losing? We're losing a fight. Can we really do anything about it? Not really. To be honest, we could throw a Hail Mary and try and do something. But the thing is, Jace right now as a champion fucking sucks in this game. GP is so much better of a champion than Jace right now because of his ulti, because of his just pure pressure on the map, okay? This is what pressure is. GP right now, this is what pressure is. Okay, this should never be a fight. GP still has ulti. GP still has TP. GP is right in mid lane. He can just walk down the river and you're fucking screwed. Why are we fighting this? Okay, a really nice stun from Jensen. By the way, Vulcan lost his flash and ult, I guess, but you know he ults as he's dying. I don't get it honestly, but it's fine, right? Jace is now starting to shove. So let's look at when did he start to shove. Yeah, right now. You can see his mana depleting. He's shoving right now. He's shoving right now because he knows that GP probably wants to walk down. Right? The thing is, C9 is inting it. And GP does not need to walk down because he still has ulti to the point that, like, it's a 4v3 and he has ulti. There's nothing that's gonna go wrong, right? It can't unless they giga int, right? Double kill. You know, Jace is shoving this. GP is still mid, but he already started the shove, so there's no point in doing anything. GP is just going to go and collect that. It's fine. Whatever. We lose 2 kills. This is where we lose the game. 4k gold behind is where we lose the game. 12 minutes is where we lose the game, unironically. TL, this game was amazingly clean by TL. Don't get me wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't even say it wasn't. It was really good. The thing is, I just want to put off blame from Fudge because I don't think it's warranted due to the fact that, quite simply put, Fudge could really do nothing in this fight. If you don't agree with me, I would love to hear your opinion on it, but I just don't see, how do you call it? I don't see a situation or I don't see a universe where, unless TL just hardcore int the fight, Fudge TPs here and it becomes good. I just don't. I don't think Vulcan should fight for this. Maybe if they fight for the blue buff, then that would be a different story. If they were fighting for the blue buff, that would be a different story. But fighting for a Grom that Blabber has already secured, going on to Core JJ of all people, is really not going to do much. And it's really not a good play. Especially with the V. I think it was probably like Perks or somebody was yelling like, okay, go. And once they said, okay, go, Perks TP'd bot lane and Vulcan went here. And it was complete, I think, miscommunication because if Perks TP's here, I think they might have a possibility to play the fight out. But I just still don't think they win because of GP ult and because of GP's proximity to the fight. I really don't. I don't think they can win. And I think this is just the natural way that this game goes. So, we really just talk about this and the state of the map. Like, nothing can really be done here. And Fudge freezing is irrelevant. Fudge is a non-factor in this particular case. It is not Fudge's fault. he's not doing a good thing either. It's just like there's nothing that can happen here. You know what I mean? If they were fighting for blue buff, it would be a different story. Fudge shouldn't be freezing if they were fighting for this blue buff. Instead of like, let me just show you. Once, because Saintorin isn't here. I mean, I get Core JJ is trying to steal it, but you know, you can just back off after this, right? Let's be real here. You don't have to start all of it. Just go through here, through here, through here, through here, through. You don't need this. Through here, through here. No, no, no. Through here. You just saw Syndra TP. Through here, man. Through here. Blabber has flash. You have flash. Go through here. Look. Look, 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 look. Are you not seeing this? Where are you going? Flash over the wall once you see the DP is being completed or something. Flash over the wall. You're not doing this. You have to go through here. You know what I mean? Regardless, that's not what I wanted to talk about. We take this, and then we fight for the blue buff. Instead of engaging in here, we back off, and we start the blue buff. If they want to contest the blue buff and start fighting for it, then Fudge can TP down. Then there can be a fight, and then we can have a scuffle. Like this, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Especially with the look at how far away Viego TP is compared to Syndra TP. There's nothing that can happen here but misery for Cloud9. Because JP still has ulti. Again, JP is in close proximity to the team fight, and that's it. So, the conclusion, freezing is, if not the only option in this case, then at least one of the better ones, right? Because anything else would result in C9 losing even harder. The only way they can come back is if they don't do what they do and let Fudge get back into the game so that he can at least surpass or be equal to either Jhin or Syndra. As being equal to GP at this point is impossible unless Alfari just straight up like Sinting and just runs it down like Tyler won back in season 7 or 6. I don't know when it was. I forget. I'm sorry. Like Fudge is down bad, okay? He's down horrendous. To give a call back to the beginning of the video. He's down horrendous, man. And that's just what I wanted to talk about and just put it out there. If you don't agree, please do leave a comment in the comments below telling me why you disagree and what your thoughts are on it, on this whole situation, because I think it's pretty interesting to talk about this and I would love to hear your thoughts. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to see more, like the video to help spread it. Follow me on Twitch to see me stream, as I will be streaming more often, probably starting Friday or something like that, or maybe next week. But regardless, yeah, that's basically it. Check out my other videos. I make some pretty cool videos, I think. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.